The reason why 97% of golfers struggle to stop and fix their out-to-in swing path is all due to the actual backswing itself. It's the way they take the club up to the top of the backswing, and it is all to do with limited depth. So if we struggle to create what we call depth into the backswing, and we only swing up to around this point here, so a lot shorter in relation to where I've just shown you, then we're going to start to fire the hips, and we haven't got the room to bring the club back down on plane. We're going to be pushing the club back out in front, because when we start that downswing, we fire the hips, shoulders follow, club and hands working out in front, causing that out to in swing path. So if we create more depth into the top of the backswing like this here, you can see how much more room I've got to bring the club back down this way. If we can't create enough depth by adding this rotation into the top of the swing, we just swing up to this point here, you can see there's not a lot of room for me to bring the club back down. I can't move my body to bring this club back down on plane. So let's face it, once we fire those hips and shoulders, the club's going to immediately come out in front. So just to ensure I'm going to create enough depth into the top of the backswing before we come into even moving into that downswing phase, I'm going to use the True Turn Pro. Now this allows me just to get that extra bit of turn to create that depth into the top of the backswing. I'm just simply getting this front point, this front grip side of the True Turn Pro to point at the golf ball as I'm making my way into the top of the swing, getting my back here to face towards the target. And just from me doing this here, if I was to move this away and have a club there now, I am set with a lot more turn, a lot more rotation into the top of the swing, creating more depth to help me start this downswing. If you haven't got the True Turn Pro, you can check a link in the description below, or simply take your club across the shoulders and begin to rotate and try and get that butt end of the club to point past the golf ball, so behind the golf ball. My right shoulder lifts even more upwards. And if I just get this feeling now with that motion there, rotating up to the top, and just get the club set into that top of the backswing, you can see so much more depth, so much more room created from this rotation, bigger backswing, to get this club working more under plane as opposed to over plane. But because we're so used to pushing the club out in front and getting the hips and the shoulders to start that downswing first, we're still going to see that club move a little bit further over the plane, so out to in path. It's just going to be less because we've added this depth into the swing. So how can we reduce this, or even take it the other way and get it working more in to out? So I'm going to take a swing plate and alignment stick, and I'm going to set it on the same angle as the six I'm using here down at Golf Swing Systems headquarters. I've got this a club length away from the golf ball and about an inch further back towards me. And what I'm going to do here is, first off, get that depth into the top of the swing by adding that extra rotation, working away all the way up to the top. And then from here now, rather than encouraging the hips to start that downswing, because the shoulders are going to go and then the club's going to go out in front of us, we want to work our way up to the top, just swinging naturally over the stick. This should take place naturally. And then to begin that downswing, we want to get the sensation that we're allowing our hands to drop, our arms to drop underneath. For to me, it feels like I'm getting my hands to go towards my right toes here. So my right foot towards my toes on the ground. So just repeating that back and forth, working over the stick, getting the depth into the top of the swing, then allowing my hands to drop and fall underneath the stick. Do this a couple of times, looking at the golf ball to really increase that sensation, to help you get that feeling. Then you can start to hit a couple of shots doing this. Now the whole aim of this is, if we're swinging pretty much so this way on the downswing to begin with, then the starting direction is likely to go left of target, because we're attacking the ball from this direction here, out to in. So our aim is to see if we can get that ball starting to the right of target. So taking my setup here, working this in stages just to begin with, increasing the depth, adding the rotation, so back facing towards the target, down for two. That one straight away has started right of the target line, which is excellent, because that's a great indicator that we're working it more underneath and more out in front, so in to out. So we've got this added depth, we've increased that rotation, we've got the path working correctly on the downswing. However, if we're so used to going this way, we're going to leave the face wide open and try and get those golf balls to curve back to target. Remember what I mentioned before? They're more likely when we get the club working out to in to start left and curve back, if not way too far to the right, due to the open club face. Now take a look at what I did before for that second part, where I made my way up to the very top of the swing and I allowed my hands to drop. Can you see where the GX Golf Glove logo is facing? It's facing up towards the ceiling. This here is encouraging this lead wrist of ours, so the left wrist for me being a right-handed player, to get into this cupped position. So when we get into this cupped position on the downswing, it's going to open up the face at impact. We've got to do a lot of work, try and jump out the way in time to try and square up that club face. So if we just do these two things, we're most likely to see them start and finish right of target because we've left the club face too far open. Or we're going to try and fight this last minute, jump out the way and early release the club and therefore get them starting right and curving way too far to the left. The bonus tip I'm going to include for this video is all about controlling what the club face does. So if we're going to bring that downswing this way, opens up the club face with this logo pointed towards the sky. Look at where my trail hand is, my right palm. It would be facing towards the ceiling. What happens if we can get that to face towards the ground? Look where the club face would be. Nice and square, the leading edge would be parallel to my spine angle, which is perfectly square for the downswing. So if we make our way up to the top of the swing, and then work on getting that right palm to face towards the ground without releasing the club, we've got to get it working towards the ground, holding this angle here. That's going to help us control that club face and deliver it square at impact. So a few rehearsal drills you can do just with right hand and taking the club out in front of you like this with your left is setting the wrist there in that hinged position, palm to sky, palm to ground without rotating the body underneath the stick, and then palm to the golf ball, working underneath your lead arm here to help you delay this body turn, allow the hand to drop on the inside, and then we can get that rotation to finish all the way through. Doing this at speed is going to be very tricky to indicate whether you're doing this movement correct or not. So using this training aid right here is going to really help you with this. So this training aid I've got is called the Pro Sendy. You may have heard of it before. I've introduced it in a couple of my videos already, as it has worked wonders to my students' golf swings, all to do with how we control that club face. So taking this Pro Sender onto my trail hand, the right hand, just like this here, what we should notice is that if I was to repeat that drill where I had the club out in front of me, set on this angle here, we are covering the gap in between my trail hand and the Pro Sender. So if I can keep this gap covered throughout the swing, working up to the top, down for 2, through for 3, it's really helping me keep this hinge and therefore keeping this angle set. To watch when I do this drill in stages using the Pro Sender and the swing plate and alignment stick. So I'm working my way up to the top, increasing that rotation, getting the width all the way up to the top of the swing, laying the body turn and getting that palm to face towards the ground, making sure there's no gap between my right hand and the Pro Sender. Then I can rotate through, and that's going to make things so much easier to get that club face returning more square, as opposed to having to recover from this angle here. Watch this, if I get to the top of my swing, then allow that angle to go, look at this, we get into this extended position. So if we can get into that more flexed position, look at that, exactly what I identified before. Leading edge is parallel to my spine angle. So once you've given this a couple of rehearsal drills, hitting these shots in stages, 1 top of the backswing, 2 down, and then 3 through to finish, trying to hold that angle, covering the gap with the Pro Sender, you can begin to hit some fuller shots and moving the swing plate and alignment stick away, just so you can increase the speed and really exaggerate this, because this will give you a great indication straight away, and you'll feel if you do this wrong, that if we let this gap go, then it's game over. We've got to try and hold that gap for as long as we can as we rotate through to finish. It's eventually going to release and this gap will happen, but we've got to try and get it just after impact as opposed to being too far behind the golf ball. And what we'll notice is they'll start to the right and begin to curve back to target. That's the relationship that we want. We've got that in to out path working in our favour to get that club face a little bit close to the path so we can get these shots finishing closer to target. So that one there, set off right, is wanting to curve a bit further back. I just felt myself release the angle a little bit early, hence why I hit the ground first on that one. Just a quick shout out to GX Golf. They provide high quality golf clubs for a fraction of the price in comparison to the rest on the market. Using my discount code below, Harry10, you can get yourself a great 10% discount. I'd highly recommend you check them out and see what you think for yourself. So, just going to exaggerate that feeling again. Adding that depth into the top of the swing, covering the gap between the pro sender and my right hand. Feeling this movement here just as the first movement on the way down. So right palm to the ground, and I'm rotating through to finish. And look at that one there. Managed to get it setting off right of target, curving pretty much so perfectly back to target. What I thought about then was pretty much this movement here with the right palm working up to the sky, adding that extra turn, extra depth down to here, rotating through and holding that angle. The question is, what happens if you're someone out there that's playing golf currently and hits those great fades as your good shot, but then finds that when you hit them out to the right, they curve way too far right? Well, I did a lesson down here at Golf Swing Systems with Ollie, who was struggling with this issue. We were able to start that direction off, working left and finishing on the target. It's all to do with that rotation and holding this angle on the way through. And this is all going to be explained in this video up here. So I'd highly recommend checking that out, hitting the subscribe button, as there's lots more content coming your way every single week. Big thanks to Golf Swing Systems for letting me come and use their fantastic headquarters, and we'll see you in the next video.